So Timothy Busfield has been released from jail while he's awaiting trial in New Mexico, but his controversy seems to be far from over. Now remember, Timothy is accused of abusing 2 young boys on the set of The Cleaning Lady. There was apparently an investigation going on in New Mexico for a year or more, and then there was a warrant put out for his arrest. He traveled to New Mexico to turn himself in. He was in jail for a little bit, and then the judge decided that he would be allowed to be released. There are a lot of conflicting opinions about whether or not he's guilty. Some bring up the fact that the boys, first said, no, he never, touched us in that way or anything inappropriate. Some bring up the parents and the fact that the parents apparently have a history of fraud. I don't know too much about them myself. I personally don't feel like I've formed an opinion either way as to whether or not this man is innocent or guilty. I haven't seen enough yet. I'm not a huge fan of how the legacy media is handling this one, especially when they released that voice recording of the interview of the literal children. I think that's incredibly damaging, and it's something that's going to follow them around their whole lives, whether or not he actually did what he's accused of or not. The adults in the room seem to be failing these children in any number of ways. And this happened on the set of a TV show, so unfortunately it's not going to be hard for people in their lives to figure out that it was them. That's something that could be used to humiliate or embarrass them long in the future, when in my opinion, it's most likely that if they are saying things that aren't true, the parents had a pretty big influence on that. And the minors involved should be treated with care, so maybe we don't need TMZ to be releasing voice recordings like that. So now Timothy is awaiting trial, but we have some resurfaced allegations that are coming out. I will say they're very different than the allegations in his current case. A lot of this stems from a deposition in a 1994 case that was obtained by the Daily Mail. But if there's anything that I have learned in the last year or so, it's that you can't take what the media tells you at face value. And unfortunately, because that deposition is not available to the public, I have to take everything I read with a grain of salt. So I can't really give a judgment as to whether or not it's credible. I don't know what details are potentially being left out. I think because of the way the media frequently manipulates like frivolous celebrity news, you then have to take into question the way that they handle big stuff like this. So unfortunately, not releasing all of the information and just asking us to rely on their reports is going to cast some doubt or some uncertainty onto the stories of the victims that they're trying to relay to us here. But I still want to take it in, acknowledge it, and just see what we think about this. So the title of this is Hollywood Golden Family Tried to Expose Disgraced West Wing Actor Timothy Busfield for Making Graphic Demands Decades Before Arrest. Julia Roberts' sister-in-law testified in a deposition submitted in court that Timothy Busfield was a creep who harassed and humiliated her, likening him to a rapist who compulsively and indiscriminately targets women, the Daily Mail can reveal. The court document exclusively obtained by the Daily Mail shows that Eliza Roberts volunteered her statement in 1994 when Busfield was in the headlines after a 17-year-old girl accused him of harassment on the set of Little Big League. Busfield denied the allegations. In the bombshell deposition, Roberts recalls an encounter with Busfield, whom she said she barely knew, which took place 5 years earlier. She said he spoke of his desires to give her oral, claimed he would be so great in bed for her, and complained that his wife was a lousy fuck. In total, 6 other women came forward to offer sworn statements in support of the Minnesota teen's account, among them Roberts. The Daily Mail has obtained copies of all these sworn depositions from court. And so there kind of lies the problem. We have multiple women who have apparently made very serious accusations, and there are documents out there, and this information is being made public. The media has obtained copies of all these depositions, but they say, trust me, bro, you have to take my word for it that I'm giving you all the information, and then you don't actually get to see the deposition pages. And in this day and age, that's a huge problem. You cannot trust the things that the legacy media spits at you. They're going to tell you the story that they want to tell, not necessarily the story as it is. And honestly, the writer of this piece could be telling the story in a way that is honest and accurate, but I won't know that because I can't see the information that they're keeping to themselves. I won't show the whole article here because it is a Mail Plus article, and I think that, if something's behind a paywall, I don't think it's a good idea for me to just show the whole thing. You have to pay for the subscription if you want to read it. But I did take some notes, and it said that half of the women they're referencing were involved in Little Big League that had filmed in 1993. And there were 2 women that said that he aggressively hit on them in bars in a persistent and unsettling way. So without further information, which we're probably not going to get from the legacy media, I can't really point to something and say, definitely he's guilty or definitely he's not. I think it's dangerous to say those women were lying. I also think it's dangerous to say that he definitely did what he's accused of. I would need way more concrete information like court documents that's not coming from a legacy media headline to make that determination. And I'm not sure if it's even possible for me to obtain that. I don't know how these guys went about doing it. To be honest, I haven't been doing this for that long. I've only covered a limited number of cases, and I've never had to look into anything from the 1990s. You know what I mean? So stuff wasn't exactly readily available online at that time, and I was like 2, so... But apparently that lawsuit settled out of court. We don't know the terms of the settlement, what sum was paid or anything like that, but it was settled in 1995 outside of court. Now, again, a settlement doesn't necessarily point to guilt, but a settlement, unlike, certain testimony or court documents, a settlement is almost never going to be known. So it's not like something that a reporter can just look up. You can't just look up a settlement. Usually that comes with some sort of NDA, like you're not allowed to discuss it. So I have no idea what the terms of that would have been. We can make assumptions, but that's a dangerous game. I mean, I, like everyone else, will speculate, especially when it comes to these like higher profile things where everybody wants to know the details behind the situation that's being put out in the media. But even in my short history, like just covering things on YouTube, as far as court cases, I've seen the media twist things a lot, consistently, frequently. And I know that it's best to proceed with caution, especially in a case like this ongoing trial, or this ongoing case. I guess I don't actually know when the trial is. I need to look it up. I will say this was not the first accusation against him involving younger underage victims. According to the Daily Mail, Roberts, when she was deposed in 1994, told attorneys, "I read an article in a newspaper several weeks ago about a teenage girl who had worked on a set with Tim Busfield, and she had accused him of lewd and harassing behavior, and I was stunned to hear it because the same thing happened to me with him." And they wrote that the case that she was talking about was there was a 17-year-old girl who said Timothy invited her into his trailer, gave her alcohol, and then propositioned her. And I guess that happened while she was an extra on Little Big League. He apparently made Roberts feel very uneasy, saying how attracted he was to her. She tried to leave, get in her car, and then when she went to put the keys in, she turned around and he was right in the car window. She says he started to get really graphic in the way he was talking to her, saying things like, "I would really love to know how you taste." She claimed that Timothy told her they would be so great together. And she apparently couldn't get rid of him, she said, and that he followed her several blocks to a car wash and continued to harass her. Anyway, she says it was wrong that the other girl wasn't being believed when she came forward with any accusations against him. Daily Mail also mentioned that there was a 16-year-old girl in Sacramento who accused him of groping her in 2001. And another woman who accused him of groping her in 2012. They note that he said the encounter was consensual. I know that Timothy Busfield's attorney recently said that any prior assault or harassment allegations against him have not been vetted by the judicial system. He said the allegations were never challenged, they were never proven, and they were over 25 years old. The allegations, not the alleged victims, were 25 years old. I mean, look, it makes me feel creeped out to read all that. It does. But like I said, I don't want to make any definitive judgments. I think that would be irresponsible. If there's not actually a court document or something like that I can read, something that is reliable to where I can read the whole thing from start to finish and not look at whatever the media picks and chooses to show. If I don't have that, I think it's best to leave some space and not make a total judgment. But I would be lying if I said I didn't read that and feel grossed out afterwards. As for the ongoing case, his defense attorney said that the parents of the accusers are scammers, that the boys had lost their roles on the show, and so they wanted revenge. The lawyer said that he's basically been canceled and his life is already ruined over this. And that was in a hearing to decide whether or not he needed to stay in jail due to public safety risk, or if he could be let out on own recognizance, which, as we know now, he has been released from jail while he waits for trial. All right, guys, that's all I got for now. I'll keep up with this stuff as it goes on. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the like button for me, and I'll see you all soon. Bye.